Hello everyone, this is Uthris and welcome back to Space Engineers, where we are doing our pseudo surviving on a planet but on creative mode just for the sake of speed. So right now we're looking up at the Mars planet. It is morning on our wonderful world. Now normally what you would do on a normal survival situation is when you land your lander, you can't really use it as a permanent base. I mean, it's possible, but generally people want to build their own thing, and so people will go through and start salvaging bits and pieces. So you can see I kind of simulated that by taking apart areas for scrap, and in doing so you would be building your basic outpost here. Can't believe it's so dark outside still, even though it is morning. The way those planets look at night and the way they glow, and it's just so wonderful looking. So in between episodes I have expanded our capabilities a little bit. Of course, you're going to need a defensive turret if you guys are playing with pirates and things like that. I have extended the garage to add a connecting hallway for future expansion, and then also this giant mess of things. Now most of this is aesthetic. You can tell by the little red lights that they're not actually fully hooked up to anything, but this is kind of the processing side of the outpost, and so we can walk in here like so. Now I don't know why I'm making an airlock type door, but oh well. But yeah, we have two assemblers and we have one refinery to kind of make everything that we need. And if we are, in the control panel, we can just tell it to start building steel plates and things like that, which is pretty cool. I don't know yeah. Anyways, so that's what I did in between episodes. I worked on just the base because it was nighttime, and I'm sure you guys didn't want to just see a whole lot of darkness. I'll go ahead and turn on my lights. I don't know what paint scheme to use just yet, but working on the outer shell I feel is rather important. As you can see, it's very reminiscent of my StarMade kind of building style, where we just have these ribbing support structures holding up in between windows and things, and of course using sideways doors for little windows. Pretty standard Space Engineers stuff. I also worked on this. This is a landing pad of some sort for what we're going to be building today, and we are going to be building a mining vessel, because that is going to be a problem people will run into rather quickly. Now normally this is how you would build a mine. Say you started on a planet without the beginning ship to use as scrap to help you build, and you had to farm for everything. I went ahead and dug out just a little bit of an example mine, and you can see that I do have to make a spiral because in survival your jets aren't going to be working quite well. And come on, adjust eyes if you don't mind. No? Okay. Well, as you can see, you can just mine down here now. Pick up your ore and then walk it back up to the entrance and process things like that. Now, most people aren't going to want to do it like that, and I don't blame them. It's really slow. Making a nice kind of spiral staircase up and down to save on fuel is time consuming, and especially if it's really far underground. Like this gold is, that's 100 some meters. I don't really want to do this method 100 meters down. I only went like 30, and that took a little while. So that's something to keep in mind when you guys are starting out in survival. It's definitely best to have a starter ship for sure. So we're just gonna go over here to our landing pad, and I think we're gonna be making our small hovercraft of some kind. Now remember, our LRV is used to scout because it is very fuel efficient to do so, but we'll be using small atmospheric thrusters and things like that on this item. Now, we do have to decide how we want the drill to connect. Now, we can... Let's see. We can just connect a drill right up to the front, and this will just be a mining ship only going forward, which is okay. I mean, you know, having multiple ships isn't too much of a chore, but having module or modular builds, I think, is probably the best way to do things. And so we're going to be attempting that on this build, which means we can leave the actual driving side with all the thrusters fairly light, because they're not going to have any cargo containers. Now, this is going to be very reminiscent, I think, probably to our utility ship in the last series, but again, we're not using modded blocks, so you never really know. I might need to give ourselves a little bit of a buffer there, and then not a connector, but I need a merge block. There we go. And then out from that merge block, we can build any type of module that we need to fit on this thing. And we can even keep them out here docked to different things as well. So obviously we're going to need a cargo container if we're going to be using it for mining or building even. So we'll plop on a cargo container on the nose. And even, actually, let's angle it like that, just so the drill kind of centers a little bit better. Try and get it to be a little bit flush at least. And we can add a little connector down here. Yep. Just like that. And the nice thing is, this won't require its own battery supply in any way, because once it's merged to something, it can be pretty much left alone at that point. Now obviously we need some reversing thrusters. And if we're going to be mining with this front end, we're going to be needing a decent amount of reversing thrusters. So that's keeping in mind, because when we point our nose down, we want to be able to hover nose down and nose up. Which means we'll need a block there. Give me that thin block back, because I might be able to encase some of this again. How about this version with a 1x2? That ain't too bad. The atmospheric thrusters kind of bug me a little bit because they don't sit fully flush. And they're rounded all the way around, so they don't, I don't know, quite fit with the blocky nature of things. Oh boy! Man, it just feels like I just cut like the back end of a spider or bee off. Just like their thorax just falling to the ground to their doom. Alright, let's try this again. Alright, we're off the ground. That's a good sign. Oh, no. Okay, so we overloaded our power generator by moving forward. Now what that's gonna... Yeah, I'm using 95% power just to fight gravity. We're gonna need some more generators. Yeah, this thing's gonna be pretty bulky by the time we're done with it, I think. There's definitely a lot to add, and the more we add, the more thrusters we're going to need. And so yeah, it's gonna be pretty little crazy going forward. I'm gonna give this thing another little test to make sure we can at least hover. Please don't fall. Okay, we're actually hovering with ease. Good. Can it hover nose down? That's good. Now, let's go ahead and give this a little bit of a test. Now, we can't tilt too far forward because what will happen is we'll start to sink, as you can see. We need to keep our nose slightly forward. And even then, as we mine, I'm gonna go ahead and just try and make a new hole here. Okay. I feel like this drill is a little bit different than normal. Alright. Yeah, we're gonna need more reversing thrusters, I feel. Go ahead and check our inventory. 6.28k rock fairly quickly. We can actually bring this over like so. You guys can see how it's going to end up lining up. It looks pretty cool. Well, tell you what, I'm going to go ahead and give this thing a bit of polish and final testing, and then once I do, I'll be back to show you guys kind of the finished product. This might end up being a short episode, but it's a lot of troubleshooting for me. I haven't built anything atmospheric yet, so I don't know if you guys want to watch me troubleshoot for like an hour and a half, 2 hours. Anyways, yeah, we're back. We are dropping over to the current version of my light utility ship, multi-role, kind of repair, mine, and deconstruct ship here. So we're kind of using a blue paint scheme, so I am keeping that continual through the builds. And this is kind of the little ship that we have here. So it looks a little stocky and fairly streamlined, which is nice. It's got plenty of thrusters facing in a lot of different directions. It's got plenty of power to power set thrusters. In fact, I'll just power this on and we'll go ahead and take it for a little bit of a spin. This will be probably one of my first times flying in one of my own vehicles. As you can see, we are covering a lot of ground very quick. It's a lot faster than the Rover, though keep in mind it is a lot more power inefficient, just because we're using thrusters rather than just wheels. So that is something to keep in mind, but I'm going to go ahead back over to our base here, which by the way looks pretty cool from this height and distance. You can kind of really see as we slowly claim the area. And there would be so much room for, like, say, easily 64 people per planet, probably, each having their own base. Yeah, I would think so, for sure. So I'm gonna go ahead and bring this down. If it feels like stopping, sometimes I have to angle it, depending on what I'm trying to do. I have to be very careful when I'm approaching things, as if I hit it too hard, of course, things will start breaking. So I'm going to turn on our merge block. As you can see, we have our assortment of tools over here. I'm going to go ahead and pick up this, which is our mining utensil. Undock, and off we go. So now I know a whole lot of hydrogen would be required eventually for our base. So I'm actually going to run over here to the lake and show you guys how effective this thing is. So we'll just slowly come to a stop. I generally want to angle my body, or the bottom part of my ship, towards the direction that I'm going. If I want to stop, am I going to hit that too hard? Yes, I am. Not a big deal, considering I'm in creative. But again, something to keep in mind for you guys, that doing that quick repair would not have been easy. So, mining's fairly straightforward. It's just like mining in normal, though it seems to mine in a little bit more of a chunk fashion rather than a smooth, constant gradient, which is fine. You know, so there's 2 different mining modes I figured out for all the drills. Uh-oh, I'm tilting! Okay. I don't think we took really any damage from that, but we might be too heavy. Up. Up. Come on. Come on. Up. Okay, no, we're good. Anyways, that'll happen from time to time as you definitely are changing the weight of your vehicle. And so, for me, in this vehicle setup, because the weight isn't distributed perfectly well, and we don't have very good thruster coverage in all directions, what I would suggest doing is definitely taking it slow and methodical, starting out until you get kind of a bigger dedicated mining vessel built, which in my opinion, for land, it should be a land vessel. It shouldn't be a flying thing, because these things are just a little unpredictable unless you have enough hydrogen fuel to just make hydrogen thrusters, in which case it's just like flying in space. So let's see, we gathered up 23k of ice, which isn't that bad. Left a nice little dent. And now we will head back to our outpost and drop this off. So I kind of set up my base a little weird in a sense. The landing pad and actual structure aren't connected in any way. So I actually have to manually transport items from the drop-off pad to the outpost to be refined down, which is just not the most efficient thing in the world, but it's okay. I'm gonna go ahead and show you guys how that works as well. So yeah, you just want to line up in the center and then slowly go forward until it kind of snaps. Oh, there it is. And we can lock it. As you can see, we're not moving anywhere, no matter how hard I try. And now we just go down here, find our connector, and then just put it into one of the storage containers. We are now free and dropped off, and we can go off and mine again. So that's essentially how these type of things work. Go ahead and close up the base, and we can walk back outside, and we'll go ahead and park the little utility ship. I think it turned out okay. It looks like just a little light shuttle thing. We'll just bring it into the landing pad and down. And locked. So, there we have it. If you guys enjoyed the episode, feel free to subscribe to my channel for more creative goodness. Go ahead and leave a comment down below on what you would like me to see built next. And leave a like, leave a dislike. You guys know what to do by now. I'm sure you've been around enough. And I'll talk to you guys in the next episode.